desk. I love that. Like all the globes and the stupid like geometric fucking like little desk thingies. I love that.
Alright. We're recording. I just have to stream it here.
Let's do this, boy. So happy. This is gonna be a cool video. He's gonna turn out to be based, and we're all gonna agree.
We're all gonna get
Hey,
sneeded.
I'm sorry.
We're all gonna get sneeded to death.
That was me flat-hitting this.
Alright, so this is a video done by the Jimqusition. Well, let's have at it.
Just get a head on the fucking thing. God, the look of this man.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love religion? Hi there, I'm James Stephanie Sterling, and today we're going to talk about belief systems. Belief systems sound amazing. I don't really have one. I only care about pinball and pro wrestling, but I have heard...
This is something I actually really hate. I think I've said this before in this circle, and I'll continue to say it. I'm completely fine with atheists. I really don't blame people who don't believe in God. Alright? Because I get how fantastic it is. I truly get it. It's one thing to say you don't believe in God. It's a completely another thing to choose not to stand for anything and then berate the people who do stand for something. We have a word for that, and it's called cowardice. So as far as I'm concerned, if you're one of those people, you choose to stand for nothing and then you attack the people who do stand for something, you're a coward. That's all there is to it.
Also, he's ugly. Let's move on.
Heard from people who have belief systems that they're pretty good, actually. From what I gather, you can do anything to anyone, so long as you excuse it by saying, well, it's just what I believe, so the next...
When has that ever been the case?
Yeah, when has that ever been the case? That's like... I mean, I'm sure within the coping mechanism that he has, he's like, he'll cherry pick whatever to justify that, but, belief doesn't justify action. I don't think anyone's going to state that. But let's go ahead and assume God really did exist. What then? Like, I've never actually heard anyone actually answer that question from the atheist, like, viewpoint. Like, you know, they're always just like, well, that's what I believe, and, you know, so long as I believe it, it's okay. Okay, but, like, what if God actually exists? Then that entire argument is rather invalid.
Well, it's the opposite. If I ask you, what if God doesn't exist?
Then I'm wrong, and I'm a bad person. See, I can answer that question, then I'm wrong. I'm just straight up wrong. Now, why can't atheists answer that question?
Wait, why would you be a bad person, though?
I mean,
Why would you be a bad person? You're just misled.
I've done bad things in my life, and I don't think redemptive qualities exist in a subjective worldview. Therefore, I would just be a bad person.
Sneejected.
So, you know.
I think redemption exists in a,
I hope you die.
And also, I just don't understand this idea that, like, you can be removed from a belief system. That isn't possible. There's no way to, like, not have a belief system. Like, I know you said, like, to not have a belief system is cowardice, but even then, I don't think it's even possible. Because you know that, like, the similar people like this, they'll say similar... He still has a belief system. There's still things that he believes in, but he doesn't see it as belief. He'll be like, you know, like, oh, you should be able to, like, kill babies because they're just clumps of cells. I believe that they're just clumps of cells and not life. That's a belief system.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but he's never advocated for any of those beliefs, so I can't...
I'm pretty sure he has. I'm not... I watched him, like, a long time ago, and I'm not super familiar with anything he said in the past, like, 5 years, but I'm pretty sure he's advocated for abortion at least a couple times.
Well, for the sake of of the recording. I don't know enough about Jimquisition to know if he stands for anything. I guess if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and someone will.
We'll find out in this video if he stands. Let's find
This
out.
time, a gay kid is thrown out onto the street having been disowned by their parents. Don't worry about it.
Alright, I'll agree that's shitty behavior. But that in on itself is not reflective of the religion.
Buzz is just like, eh.
No, parents abandoning their children just because they're gay and they're hard Christian, that's just shitty. I think this topic is extremely more complex and not fitting for this particular recording, but, like, you know, if you abandon your child, you're a bad parent. But
Well, I know that for a fact, no one has ever been mean to gay people for non-religious reasons. That's a fact.
He's being sarcastic.
/S, sorry. /S, I forgot to name it.
Oh, you're doing a bit, Buzz. You're doing a bit. Loop post. Skidded.
Just shrug and say, well, beliefs. Anyway, shut up, you. Time for this. Scott Cawthon sucks. And I say that at the risk of pissing off his creepy cult of personality.
Oh my God.
His fan
I
base
knew it.
already
I
hates
knew
me
it.
despite...
I fucking knew it. I fucking knew that he was going to do this fucking thing. If you're defending Scott Cawthon, you're just a weird, bizarre, cultish fan. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Oh my God. Every single person always uses this fucking defense.
well,
No,
I mean,
it's just annoying.
I mean, it's real easy to attack someone popular just by mentioning, like, who their fan base is. Like, it's marginally
As if
harder
I
to attack their
couldn't-
character.
As if there's no one that's like a creepy fan of the Jimquisition that would be like, you can't defend him. Like, it's just retarded. It's just a bad, it's a bad take. Sorry, it's a bad take.
I'm gonna turn you down a bit, Bosun.
No, turn me up out louder than everybody else.
No.
Despite being a direct inspiration for the Five Nights at Freddy's series with my criticism of his earlier title, Chipper and Sons, a lumber company. It was a very creepy game. But they're mad at me for all that I've definitely done for them.
We're not the only one that called
Hold
that
up.
game creepy.
Hold up. Does Jim actually think FNAF is popular thanks to him?
No, it's a complicated thing. So the reason that Five Nights at Freddy's got made at all is because he made this game, Chipper and Sons Lumber Company, and pretty much every person that reviewed it said it looked like creepy animatronics, and so he got like upset and was like, "Well, if you want creepy animatronics, I'll show you." He was seething. But so the Jimquisition is saying because he was one of the like thousands of reviewers that said the game looked creepy, he is in some way responsible for Five Nights at Freddy's existing. And listen, I get the joke. If anyone is gonna like respond to this, they'll be like, he was obviously joking. Yeah, I get that he's joking, but it's an insinuation that is completely like ignorant of the fucking situation. And you know that there are gonna be people who are gonna take that literally, no matter what, even if he is joking.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you're one of his fans, I would.
If
think
you're
you
like
would
a
take
creepy
that
cultish
seriously.
fanboy of the Jimquisition, you're gonna take this joke literally.
Because they won't hear a single bad word said against the guy, even if that bad word gave them the game that they love so much. I'm just saying, where are my royalties if Cawthon's chucking his money about? In the past, I have praised Cawthon for taking criticism on the chin and rolling
You
with
don't
it
get
to
any
create
royalties because
success.
the only thing you've created in your life are shitty fucking videos that no one likes. Anyway, continue.
And just being a super nice guy. He's so nice. He's nice and he's polite is the thing. And also, Cawthon's stands are idiots. And now that I've set the tone for a reasonable
brought
and
that up. So why does he keep bringing that up?
I don't know. We'll find out.
rational discussion, let's talk about not Cawthon's fan base, but the people who Cawthon himself seems to be a fan of.
All right. So I know that that's Mitch McConnell.
I thought it was the turtle guy from Master of Disguise.
He does look like the turtle guy. That's true. Okay, so Scott is a Republican, I'm gonna assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Which has been known for a really long time, too.
all right. I mean, I can only. What is he? Is he upset that he's a Republican?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
What?
Donated to the Republicans, therefore a villain, I guess.
Okay, here
He
I gotta
donated
hear
to-
this.
Well, you'll hear what happened. I think
It
he
came to
explains
light recently that Cawthon loves to spend
Yeah.
his vast sums of Freddy money on political contributions.
How is that any different from popular individuals spending it on left-leaning political contributions?
It isn't.
But in their worldview.
Oh, okay. So it's good, bad for thee, not bad for me. It would seem then.
Yeah.
So not just a coward, but a hypocrite.
Well, Sinaticus, you have to understand, the left-leaning people are morally good. They're not like these evil Rathuglicons. They are literally trying to kill trans people.
Wait a minute, but don't they literally cause abortions? Isn't that kind of morally questionable?
I mean, most of them don't think so.
Of cells, sweetie.
Yeah, most of them don't think that that's a moral conundrum. So no.
It was already known that Scott was deeply into that whole
Yeah, well, you're
fundamental
probably a
Christianity thing, which
Hold up, is Scott Cawthon is
Wait, what is on screen? What the fuck?
is Scott Cawthon
Sorry, what are you asking?
is
That threw me off guard.
Scott Cawthon really a fundamentalist Christian?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, so like he thinks the Earth is 6,000 years old.
No, he's not a younger
No, not
creationist.
that whole- not
Okay,
that.
That's
so-
not what fundamentalist Christian means.
All right, define fundamentalist Christian for. I mean, I'm a
Like
theology expert.
the most basic form of like evangelical Protestant Christian that you would find in your average like Texan household. Probably.
Okay, so then he's not
is
a
the best
real
way to describe it.
fundamentalist. He's just a
Oh
normal
my
Christian.
fucking god!
He's just a normal
Whatever.
Christian.
Fundamentalist means that he's not. He probably wouldn't be okay with trans preachers. Is what fundamentalist means.
Yeah. So in other words, he follows what the Bible says. A regular
Yeah.
Christian.
was
I don't
already
think
known that
anyone
Scott
defines
was deep.
fundamentalist as young Earth creationist. I've never heard that before. I don't think that those things are the
Kind of a bizarre take.
So this is just from my experience. I could be incorrect, but
Well, we can
from
argue
what
about this later. Let's focus on.
Right. All right. Yeah. Sure.
Deeply into that whole fundamental Christianity thing, which isn't exactly known for its open-mindedness and tolerance of others. Scott
God Cawthon is in the KKK.
Yeah. So again, yeah. So the implication here, again, the imagery is that Scott Cawthon's in the KKK.
Yeah, he is. He's just a guy.
I openly invite anyone who thinks that that's accurate to look up what well poisoning is. This is why I tend to call these types of people cowards.
He wasn't implying that Scott Cawthon is in the KKK. He's just showing that much like that the KKK is just another example of religious people being intolerant.
Oh, of course. You know, we've got no examples of atheists being intolerant. None whatsoever.
The weird thing is that him voting for Republicans
he put the picture of the KKK on screen in this video about Five Nights at Freddy's with the purest intentions, Connecticut. He was not meaning to imply anything about Scott Cawthon by putting that on screen. in this video.
I rest my case. Innocent until proven guilty, it would seem.
Scott's pro-life, by the way. Well, Scott's anti-abortion, by the way.
50% of the country's anti-abortion.
He's making a little joke now about how actually pro-life is a bad term. We should call it anti-abortion.
Like,
can we call you pro-baby killer then? That'd be
like
kinda
there's a decent chunk of the world that is anti-abortion. This is actually one of the things that actually really gets to me. Again, I'm completely fine. I've even talked to several rape victims. All right, I get it.
Several? I couldn't stomach the first.
I get it. Okay, I get why there are people who advocate for abortions. I get it. But to act as if that is the objectively correct opinion to have, and that the opposite side isn't even standing on a proper toe, is at best disingenuous and at worst misinformed. I don't know of anyone who lives in reality who thinks you can have a genuine conversation on this and think that you're going to come out morally right on either end. I think Dr. Jordan Peterson put this the best.
Oh, no, Sinaticus.
Abortion is very clearly wrong, but it's not that simple. And so for you to act like it's simple tells me that you're not educated on this topic enough to even mention it.
Now, you see, Sinaticus, now that you've mentioned Jordan Peterson, you've outed yourself now as a sweaty incel.
I will reference anyone. I've referenced Richard Dawkins. The last video I just uploaded is me praising Richard Dawkins for talking about the evolution of the eye. Anyone who makes good content.
You should consider having sex.
Anyone who makes good content is someone who I will always prop up. I don't care what their political background is. I care whether or not what they have to say is genuine. This is why I talk to people on the right. I talk to people on the left. I talk to Jews. I talk to people who hate Jews. So, again, to trivialize the notion of, I am pro-abortion, therefore I am correct. That all that tells me is I'm Jim Sterling, and I'm not educated on the topic.
Stephanie Sterling, thank
you. Why is it called the Jimquisition then?
That's true. Why didn't he change the channel name?
I don't get it. If he changed his name from Jim to Stephanie, why isn't it called the Stephquisition?
That's not even a bad name.
It's almost like he knows he would just, his analytics would be worse. And
you know what, Sinaticus? You know what, Sinaticus?
Analytics for the last fucking year since he.
Sinaticus, the Stephquisition isn't even a bad name. He should be paying you royalties for that name, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's Steph. My bad. If you see this, you can have that one for free. Actually, I'm a kind Christian man.
The way pro-life is just dressing it up. Personally, I find...
No, pro-life is objectively accurate. People who are anti-abortion are in favor of life getting through the pregnancy term unconditionally. It's in the name, pro-life versus pro-choice. Again, no one who takes this topic seriously says these things. No one educated says these things.
Find American fundamental Christianity's beliefs and behaviours and political motivations so far removed from Jesus Christ's whole deal as to be outright fucking blasphemous. But
is he really doing that?
So now...
It's literally the fucking meme. This argument wouldn't work on me, but let's see if it works on you. You're not actually preaching what Jesus would believe. It's so...
now...
I don't know, man. Jesus would want me to own an AK-47.
So now, I'm sorry, Stephanie. So now Stephanie is a expert on theology, enough to know that Christianity as it exists in America isn't even remotely close to what Jesus Christ taught. No. That's just wrong.
I will say...
There are a lot of things that modern Christians do that is not correct. That's true. But to suggest that modern Christianity is thoroughly removed from the teachings of Christ, again, I can only help but assume that you're just not educated on the topic. And to be fair, most pastors aren't educated on the topic either, but since they're Christians and not Jews, they don't really need to be. So
as one positive on this video, I do want to say this image that he's using here is really good.
Oh yeah, this is. I might come back and snap an image of this or try and find it.
It's the joke.
It's the Joker.
Oh.
But that's just me. I'm not exactly a religious scholar. I just think Jesus would be violently ill.
I couldn't tell.
And Jesus went into the temple to cast them out as he sold and bought in temples, the overflow tables of money changers, seats, and sold doves. Yeah, you should try actually reading the Bible. The context of that section wasn't that they were selling things in the temple. That's not what was illegal. What Jesus was upset about is that they were selling things. They had taken the court of the Gentiles and converted it into a market. So the Jews who ran the temple stopped Gentiles from worshiping at God's house and instead chose to turn that area into a market. That's what the issue was. The issue wasn't the issue of tithe, because we see the notion of tithe appear in the Torah, which is what Jesus practiced. Jesus was upset that they were stopping non-Jews from worshiping the Jewish God, which is why in the next couple of sentences, he says, "Don't you know it is written, my house is a house of prayer for all people." He doesn't say don't make money. He says my house is a house of prayer for all people. So this is just classic cherry picking. That's all there is to it. No historical knowledge on the subject, and very obviously didn't even bother to read the next sentence. Like, that's the most frustrating part about this, is when people pretend they know what they're talking about, and then they take one sentence from the Bible and they don't bother to read the rest of the sentence.
I mean, I personally have a distaste for megachurches as well, but I it's not really for any specific theological reason. I just have a distaste for it as a concept, really.
I have distastes for megachurches. I'll say I have distaste for megachurches. Hell, I'll even get behind you. I don't think the guy on the screen, that pastor.
Oh gosh, let's not even get into that.
He's probably behind. He's behind a lot of terrible stuff. But that's not the point that's being made here. So.
At the sight of luxury megachurches, hatred of minority.
Oh, here we go.
Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that man should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. What does this have to do with hatred of minorities?
Because it's the golden rule. It's like do unto others what you would want to do unto yourself. I mean, look, if I was in, like, Africa starting shit, I'd probably say that it would be justified for them to want to kick me out of their country, but that's just me.
But again, maybe I'm not seeing this. Blaren, I need an atheist's opinion. What here actually justifies racism? I'm not seeing it.
Sneed me the quote again.
Therefore, all things, whoever ye would that man should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets.
I don't know. They probably something about.
Well, no, Snackus, he's not saying that passage justifies racism, but that it is, like, against racism, because it's the golden rule.
What?
That, like,
Yeah, so he's like, I don't know why they're so against trannies.
So
it's racist.
So the golden rule is suddenly against, or is racist? I don't.
He's saying, okay, the point of this section, racism. I don't know why I have to explain this to Snaticus. You should probably cut this out if this is a video, but this makes you look dumb. The point of this section is that he's saying all the shit that Christians do in America is against Christianity.
Oh!
And one thing that he's bringing up as an example is racism, and he's saying Jesus would hate racism because of this thing said in the Bible, even though it's completely removed from context.
Okay, I see.
So he's saying because Jesus preached the golden rule, he wouldn't want you to, care about your own, ethnic group and, your nation and whatnot.
Okay, but that's not true. Jesus was a Jewish man who practiced Torah, and again, Torah makes specific rulings against what Gentiles can do and what they can't in regards to Jewish law. Now, it's not really purporting racism per se, but the Bible.
I will say that he's right, and the specific wording that he used wasn't racism; it was hatred of minorities. And I guess in that sense, yeah, hatred of minorities is probably not very Christian. But I think what he means when he says that general concept of caring more about your people than another people, which I don't think is against Christianity at all, especially not the Torah.
I mean, Jesus. This is a common misconception. Jesus by no means would have been a pacifist. Yeah, he let the Romans take him for sacramental reasons because he had to, but like, he's literally prophesied to come back with a sword in his mouth and kill all of Israel's enemies. So
it's pretty dangerous. He's got to be careful. That thing's probably pretty sharp.
Yeah.
And right-wing political rant.
Oh,
so I was just saying right-wing politics in general.
Right. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothes, but inwardly are ravenous wolves.
What does this have to do with Trump?
It doesn't.
I don't know.
I like how he specifies right-wing, though. Like,
well, it's weird, right? It goes from, like, luxury megachurches to hatred of minorities to, like, just right-wing politics in general.
Yeah, like, Jesus would have hated Donald Trump. Did you know that? I said Jesus hated Donald Trump, therefore you should hate Donald Trump.
That argument wouldn't work on me, but let's see if it works on you.
Dressed up as sermons. If you couldn't tell, I might have spent a little too much time in Mississippi, but it did give me an up-closer look at the greed, hypocrisy, and terrifying hate inherent to the American Christianity industry. As a good, loving, honest Christian boy, Cawthon has been donating money to some of the most hateful and despicable human beings
Wait, is
around.
that really the amount? Hold on, pause that, go back for a sec. Is that really the amount? $5,000 is fucking nothing to Scott Cawthon. That's so little money. What?
Well.
You don't need $5.
You have to figure this, Bosun. When leftists see that money, they think, "Oh my God, this could have gone to the LGBTQ plus North American suicide hotline."
But like $5,000 is nothing to Scott Cawthon. It's especially nothing to fucking Mitch McConnell.
I mean, at the very top, we see $5 donated to John R. and Hale and Christina and some guy named Greg in Indiana. So each of them got like what? $1.70 something cents. Like, I don't.
What's extra weird about the Mitch McConnell contribution is that all of them say designers and game designer, but that one says graphic designer for some reason.
Yeah, that is.
This is just a weird chart in general.
Well, no,
this is cursed. This is a cursed image. That's what this is. This is just a cursed image.
Yeah. Anyway, let's just go.
Including the fasci wanker who earlier this year instigated a distinctly un-American coup that tried...
Distinctly un-American? Now hold on there.
I think the most American pastime is protesting.
I love the way that the fucking January 6th protest has been fucking... Oh my god. I don't care about American values and democracy until you say that you don't like them. Now I love the sanctity of the federal government as a leftist. And you trying to reform the system like I've been saying we should doing as a Marxist for 10 years. When you actually try to no, you weren't supposed to actually do it. It's the most January 6th is probably one of the best like barometers of whether or not a person is being like honest as far as their politics goes, because if you are saying that like January 6th was like it's a coup, it's anti-American, all that that's a sign to me that you're not dishonest necessarily. I guess I shouldn't say that, but just that you're being a fag. that your political ideology or whatever you that you shouldn't be listened to, really, more than anything.
Well, I'm fine with people hating on January 6th. However, I openly invite you to be consistent with your principles. Now, Stephanie is never going to see this video because I'm some no one. But on the off chance that they do, I invite you to be consistent with your statements and openly condemn Antifa essentially burning down entire city blocks. And if you do that, fine. But if you can't, then you're a hypocrite, and you really don't have any right to say anything on this topic at that point.
Antifa hasn't killed a single person.
They have,
hold on. I just
though.
Googled it. Wait, no, I'm right. This is that one Vouch video where he's looking at the Stone Toss comic, and then he figures out that Antifa has been killing people. He's like, oh wait, they're killing people now? Shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
to violently overturn a democratic election. As a big Trump supporter...
How we had to
The
deal
election
with
is
4 years of
democratic, it's
people
not-
bitching and complaining about Donald Trump winning. And,
Yeah,
and-
right. Like
oh,
hacking the election.
Get
Gee,
the
yeah.
hell out!
It's
Get
a fair
out!
election if my candidate wins.
I mean, look, I was not a big fan of Donald Trump, but I'm not stupid either. He didn't hack the election. God, that's just. I can't take them seriously now.
Even
That's,
her
yeah,
or them. I don't know anymore.
them.
They said non-binary. I think.
I would say them just to be safe. Who knows?
Scott Cawthon automatically sucks. Trump was a fascist who openly transgressed rules and regulations, corruptly awarded positions of power to unqualified friends.
Name a politician who hasn't done that. Like,
He's a fascist who went against the rules. What rules? What does that even mean?
yeah, like,
The rules of you're not supposed to be a meanie? I don't know what what rules did he overstep as a president?
I don't, like, this is just a typical politics thing. Like, there isn't a politician in history who hasn't done that.
I think you should specify that that's not a justification, obviously, but to point out Trump specifically for that is just being dishonest. You're being intellectually dishonest.
Well, it's called well poisoning.
Are you saying? So is Stephanie trying to say that politicians have never practiced nepotism before?
Well,
I don't think Steph is trying to say anything other than I agree with Scott Cawthon being canceled because he supported Trump, and I agree with the mainstream narrative that Trump is a big meanie.
Yeah, this is just a dumb statement to make.
And, well, Jesus Christ, do I really have to explain why the hate monger who stoked and coddled the racist, homophobic, white supremacist QAnon is a...
Alright, so everyone who supported Donald Trump, everyone, is a white, racist, homophobe.
I mean, look. And here's the thing, right? I don't like him for doing these things that I'm about to say, but he did do them. He held up the fucking gay flag. He said, "I'm not racist. I love all people. We love the blacks," or whatever. He tried his very best to distance himself from the racist shit. I don't think he should have done that personally, but he did do that.
What is that supposed
But
to
he
mean?
did do that. I think he should have been more racist, but obviously he did try to distance himself from racism. He did do that. I think that to say that he
Stephanie's
stoked
actually
the
right. Holy
alt-right,
moly.
I think to say that he stoked the alt-right, white supremacist, anti-Semitic, transphobic, homophobic, non-binary phobic, QAnon, bizarre LARP cult is a bit.
I'm willing to throw people a bone on the opposite side here. I think you're living in Disney World if you don't think that at the bare minimum his behavior emboldened them. But to say that he stoked them, or that he coddled them, or that he specifically catered to them, that's not living in reality.
I mean, if being like one of the most openly like pro-Israel candidates was stoking the alt-right and coddling them, then I mean,
yeah, I don't.
That's a bit weird.
Only people like Stephanie could live in a universe where Donald Trump pushes hatred of minorities and yet got 4 peace deals for the state of Israel, a country literally ran by a marginalized group of minorities that have been so for 2,000 years.
All right, okay, let's.
Bit of a fucking dickhead. Cawthon's contributions are practically entirely Republican in nature and includes donations to spineless Trump lackey Devin Nunes, as well as the
Okay. What's wrong with that? Is Scott Cawthon suddenly not allowed to support his politics? Is that it? He's not allowed to give money to the people who push.
I think the argument that's going to be made here is he's allowed to make whatever political contributions he wants, but I'm also allowed to criticize him for it, and I think he's a big doo-doo head for doing it. Which, I mean, I guess is a fair criticism, but at the same time, to make this whole video about how he's a shitty person for doing something that everybody does.
That's got to be the biggest nothing post ever.
Yeah.
Free content for me, sure, I'll take it. Thanks for being an easy target, I guess.
Distinctly un-American Mitch McConnell, who you may remember as the wretched old fuck who actually laughed at the idea of unemployed Americans suffering.
No, pause it. You can go back a bit to hear what he said because I was yelling, but like, fuck these people. You don't give a shit about what's American, dude. Like, I'm sorry, you don't. Don't fucking pretend that you care about what's un-American. You don't give a fucking rat's ass. You're only doing it as because you think that... Listen, Mitch McConnell is un-American. It's just such a fucking bullshit, like, statement. Like, I wish I was being more eloquent right now, but I'm too mad. I'm seething.
It's okay. I now have the beep effect. I'll just have to use it a lot.
Seething. I'm too seething because these people will spend all day hating America for everything, saying that it's the worst state, that it's white supremacist, that it's racist, that America is an institution that is broken from the core. And then out of the other mouth, they'll be like, Mitch McConnell is un-American. Shut up, dude.
Wait a minute,
You don't care.
Does that mean that they're saying that Mitch McConnell then is everything that they like?
Yeah, right? Is Mitch McConnell anti-white supremacy because he's un-American? Shut the fuck up, dude.
I don't know, I'm not in their head.
As the wretched old fuck who actually laughed at the idea of unemployed Americans suffering during the COVID crisis.
Didn't Mitch McConnell and Trump hate each other?
Well, first off, it's from The Guardian, who's very biased, very left-leaning. So I don't know how accurate that reporting is.
It looks like it's based on the testimony of Amy McGrath and not any kind of like thing that like anybody witnessed. Because it's entirely based on Amy McGrath.
All right,
but
so
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, you see, that's a problem. I don't believe people on their face claims. If I did, I'd believe in trolls and dragons. You gotta have evidence beyond that, and unfortunately, I mean, maybe later we can track down the article, but if it's just someone claiming that, I mean, again, even if it's not, normally it's like from a video or something, and it's like, well, I'd have to see the full context of the video. I don't know if someone said something to him that made him laugh, or...
And it's indicative of the way that the fucking, like... I'm sorry if I keep swearing. It's indicative to me of the way that the media, like, industry is just the way that it, like, stokes, like, the flames of fucking... about... I have Tourette's. I can't stop saying the F word. The way that it stokes like the anger of people, because someone decided like to write this entire article about like one thing that like Mitch McConnell may or may not have laughed once about this one specific thing, and then they wrote this article and they put it out so that now people like the Jimquisition can be like, Mitch McConnell laughed at working Americans losing money. It's like, what even is this?
Yeah,
what's the point?
All the while they're like they're laughing
What is
as
being
the Rust
said?
Belt gets. Oh, no, Bosun. All the while they were laughing as the Rust Belt gets fucked over from fucking...
Oh, well, right, yeah. They only care about poor people when they need to be on a moral high horse against someone else. But that aside, just this whole like rigmarole of the Guardian, someone at the Guardian saying, oh, Amy McGrath said Mitch McConnell might have chuckled at this one thing. Let me write a whole article, put that article up, seen by thousands of people. Now the Jimquisition, it looks like he didn't even read the article. He's just taking a screenshot of the headline. He laughed at people losing their jobs. It's just such a, like, a farce. It's farcical. It's like a carnival ride. It's insanity.
On that note, I hope that she's also willing to say that it's bad that Kamala Harris constantly laughs at many of her failures, such as being like one of the worst prosecutors in Californian history, or failing to go to the border as as her administration is continuing to fucking build the wall.
No, this is a Senaticus Apologia video, not a Fox News broadcast. I can hear about Kamala Harris.
I'm sorry, but
I don't really care about Kamala Harris.
That I'm thinking of here.
Yeah, I don't care about the wall, sweetie.
All right, go on.
Well,
I see. It's because my
this is my apologetics. I'll talk about whatever I want.
He found it funny that he and his cronies took a vacation during said crisis.
Yeah, did he though? Did he?
What do you mean?
Who's
Vacation?
reporting on this? Why?
Took a vacation. Politicians were literally not allowed to do their jobs under COVID.
Yeah, I better say,
Not
like
a
most politicians couldn't go to the Supreme Court and the freaking Congress during COVID anyway. Like, what? What do you want him to? You just want him to sit in his house, twiddle his thumbs, and be like, "Oh darn, I guess I can't appeal to my constituents."
Yeah, it's like the one thing that the left certainly has mastered is rhetoric, right? Because just that simple change of calling it a vacation just completely switches around the entire tone of the statement, right? Like while he and his peers took a leave of absence during COVID, while he and his cronies took a vacation. It's just the diction is so important. Diction is so powerful.
If it is cronies.
Changing the tone of the
Well,
statement.
I don't know why. Every time I hear the word crony, I imagine people breaking into the Watergate complex.
Well, oh yeah, I mean it's the simple word choice can change like a normal thing into like Mitch McConnell turns into fucking Skeletor with cronies. It's insane. He does kind of look like Skeletor, though. I'll give him that.
His political hypocrisy is well documented. His hatred.
Okay. I mean, who again? Name a politician who isn't a hypocrite.
Biden bros? When are we getting our college debt forgiveness?
Yeah.
Why, Biden bros?
Let me analyze this here. Mitch McConnell, hold on. Mitch McConnell blames the poor for Trump's $1 million. What is that? I think it's deficit.
I'm pretty sure it's
And then it says,
deficit.
and then it says,
Oh, it's
and then it says,
deficit.
hold on, and then it says, hold on. The quote, which is the point of this article, I'm assuming, is it's disappointing. It's not a Republican problem. Do you know that most Republicans are poor? So it's just a completely false and dishonest article from the start. Kind of base.
Why isn't that like
It's Vanity Fair.
The Chad Vanity Fair lying. Kind of base.
I mean,
Giga Chad,
I don't-
lie.
I don't trust any mainstream source of news, not even Fox News.
Well, I mean, look,
In my
if you
opinion,
did-
if you're on a TV channel, you're not objective.
Well, take it as a good example. If you did trust every mainstream article that was released, you would become the Jimqusition. That's the kind of person you. It's a direct result.
No, thank you.
Americans unquestionable, as he and his party sought to effectively use coronavirus as fox dye for the poor. This is the guy who didn't want to give money to a nation suffering under the weight of a pandemic.
You do realize that one day we will have to pay for those stimulus checks, right? Like, this is the weird part.
Regardless, Trump offered Pelosi the fucking deal to just send out the checks, minus giving $2 trillion to cities, where the Democrats were like,
I don't even get this. They get this headline. 2000 stimulus. If he's talking about the 2000 stimulus for poor people, why would he call it socialism for rich? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know.
I imagine what if he's saying socialism for the rich, what he might be talking about is the stimulus that the corporations got. Is that what he's actually talking about? Because
I don't.
that doesn't make any sense that he'd say that.
Yeah,
Like, just
I don't
from a
have enough
logical perspective.
context. I don't have enough context to judge that statement. But like, Stephanie does realize we're gonna all have to pay for that in the future.
I don't really care. I got my stimulus.
Well, I mean, you might not care, but that's the reality of it. Like, one day, our taxes are gonna go shooting up to pay for those checks. So,
Well,
I
I haven't been vaccinated, so by then I'll be dead from coronavirus. It won't matter.
well, I don't know about that. It's just the entire world gave out stimulus, and the reason the U.S. dollar shot up so much was because the U.S. gave out so little stimulus compared to the rest of the world.
Well, then I guess we'll make our money back elsewhere. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Everyone's
I mean,
telling
if
me
we really need
otherwise.
money, we can just overthrow another South American government. It's not a problem.
I mean,
One at a
what do
time.
we
That's
need
the
to do?
joke,
We got-
Herman.
Hold on, let me see. Canadian stimulus check 2020. I think Canadians got something like Canadians income support, 6 months interest. Single parent with children gets $1,500 every month. They got that for a year and a half.
Every month. Fuck, I only got it once. I only got it once.
No, Canadians. Well, we got jack fucking shit.
I know. What the fuck? That's dumb.
Oh well, it's because Americans deserve to suffer. Yeah,
I guess that's true.
That's true though. That's true though.
Fair enough.
Pretty
You know
true.
what?
Yeah, pretty true.
It's the
Because
penance-
it'd be
it's
too
penance
much
we
like-
pay for the Big Mac.
Socialism for his liking, the nation in question being his own. Anyway, despite all this,
Well, I mean, I don't blame Mitch McConnell for not wanting socialism here. Socialism is bad. So, good on
Incel.
Mitch.
Incel, right-wing
Only
incel.
brave statements here, Shenanigans.
Alt-right incel. Have sex.
So
many
sad.
of those not
I'm sorry. I wait a minute.
is me.
What's this swastika armband doing on me? No! Ah!
This picture on screen, this is me looking at Sinaticus after he says socialism is bad. I'm sorry? What did you say? Did you just say it?
directly negatively impacted by the actions or inactions of the Republican Party have wondered exactly what the problem is, arguing
Hold up. I really hate these warriors who pretend that the Democrats are just like nothing but good boys. That's so stupid to assume. I mean, like, have you seen Chicago? Chicago has been under Democratic rule for like, what, 20, 30 years? And it's like a total hellhole. Like, do you actually think the Democrats care more than the Republicans? That is ridiculous.
They certainly care more than the Rathuglicons.
Grumacon.
that Scott Cawthon is free to spend his money wherever he wants, and
Oh, well then if he's free to spend his money wherever he wants, I guess your videos just moot
I guess
then.
this whole video is for nothing.
Guess this whole video's just for nothing. It's for dick
We can-
all, really.
Next 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, we could just skip everything else.
that doing so in no way impacts who he is as a person or whether or not his game should be
Oh, he was being
supported.
sarcastic.
This is a very, very easy position to argue if you're not marginalised, if the general day-to-day politics of the nation don't really impact you in any significantly noticeable.
Oh, right. Mr. Not Marginalized. That's me.
They, I mean, we want to talk
What
about
does
the people.
marginalized really mean in this context, anyway?
I think he's referring to anyone who's a minority. And luckily for me, being a minority, I think I speak with
Well, minority in what context? Religious minority, political minority, racial minority, sexual minority,
Jews count as both a religious and a racial minority.
and a sexual minority.
Apparently, I'm a sexual minority too. Fine, granted.
They're attracted to baby foreskin.
Hey, what the fuck, man?
That's okay. I have expert editing skills. I can just cut that out.
No! He's hiding the truth!
Um,
I'm being censored!
I mean,
But this argument, like, if the politics of every day to day don't affect you, fuck off. The politics of every day affect everybody.
yeah. Well,
It doesn't matter.
not only that, but like, wasn't Jim Sterling a white male?
He was, yeah.
Okay. So then
I think Jim Sterling actually used to be a part of the alt-right or the anti-game.
No, he was always I remember-
They have the aesthetic for it.
I remember Thermic. I remember I was in Gamergate. I was very involved in what they were calling Gamergate, and I remember watching Jimquisition's videos at the time. He was always very on this side of the argument, no matter what. He was very anti-Gamergate. He was very pro Anita Sarkeesian. He was always on this side. He's never really flip-flopped or anything. But you are right. He did used to be a straight white male.
Well, I mean, look, I'm not saying anything. What I'm saying is that shouldn't he know that straight white men get affected by day-to-day politics? He lived as one.
Shouldn't he know that straight white men aren't welcome?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, Sinaticus. He's British.
No, I think he lives in Minnesota. Last I checked.
Why does he have an English accent though?
Weird. What?
Bizarre.
I last I checked.
Bizarre. Yeah, he said he lived in Mississippi. Why does he have a British accent? What the fuck?
Yeah, I think they just fake it, or she just fakes it. Whoever they are, whatever they are, I don't know.
This has been the longest con of anyone's lifetime.
I mean, whatever.
Way. Unfortunately, many people are directly impacted by the beliefs and actions of Mitch McConnell and his treasonous, murderous pals. It's been noted that
treasonous? Murderous. Do you know how many people have died around Hillary Clinton?
Oh my god. Wait, who is he referring to as treasonous and murder?
Mitch McConnell.
I mean, all politicians are guilty of murdering, like, Palestinian children or Iraqi children or whatever, but as far as, like, the American people, I guess that's a bit... We can talk about Clinton we can talk about Clinton body count, but...
Do you like how, Bosun, do you like how in culture Mitch McConnell has replaced Donald Trump?
Because he's the only one left.
He's the
last Aryan warrior.
He's not the only one left. He's the only easy target they have. He's someone who's like so above social media. So above anything because he's been in power for so long. He just will not fucking. It's like a punching bag.
I mean, I don't really care about him criticizing Mitch McConnell. I don't like Mitch McConnell. I think to call any current politician murderous and like what else did he say? Traitorous. I think that's accurate. Sure, I'm not going to argue you on that one. Looking at every member of the U.S. Senate is probably responsible for Jeffrey Epstein's death, but like certainly John McAfee's certainly.
I mean,
that's a bizarre schizo-alt-right conspiracy theory, Chadwick.
Yeah, sorry. You're gonna have to be censored from the rest of this video now.
No.
Much of the criticism of Scott Cawthon has come from the LGBTQIA+ community, and it should be hardly...
Now...
He said it! He said the whole thing!
Now, why do you think that is? Do you think it's because that these people go out of their way? I mean, like, drive 4 states to harass a cake baker out of their way? To specifically target people who don't agree with them on a philosophical level? Or do you think it's because they're reasonable people, so reasonable that they drive through 4 states to harass one cake baker, specifically because he philosophically disagrees with them?
It's also been stated that the original people who purported this whole canceling campaign didn't even care. They were doing it as a prank. They weren't even fans of the franchise.
So, the fact that the majority of his critics are people or members of the LGBTQ community, that doesn't come to a surprise to me. Just looking on the outside as an objectively neutral party, these people are absolutely ravenous and will hunt down anyone who says anything against them, which is why I don't support them.
I have an interesting little tidbit, too. Another common criticism of these same Republican politicians is that they're racist. Where is the great black movement against Scott Cawthon? Why is there no major black backlash against Scott Cawthon?
Well, there is. It's the Blasian backlash, but you can't see them. They crashed their cars on the way over.
Unfunny.
Too soon.
Unfunny emoji.
Unfunny. Okay, cry.
Wow, Asian car. Go back to 1995.
Go back to 1995, old man.
Wow.
surprising given the sheer volume of attacks the Republicans have launched on queer people since the dawn of time, and especially...
Oh, fuck off.
They've launched the attack. God, I wish. Fire the missiles at the Pride Parade!
Hillary Clinton, the supposed perennial candidate for the Democrats in terms of feminism, hated the gays up until a mere 10 to 15 years ago when it suddenly became optical to like them. Get out. You're just wrong.
And
You're
I mean,
just
look
wrong.
at this. And so, can I ask, what exactly are anti-LGBT measures into law? I don't think any Republican candidate has, campaigned to make it illegal to be gay. That's really the only thing that I can really call anti-LGBT laws. I don't think anyone's campaigned for that.
Well, you want to know what they're doing? They're categorizing the laws that are limiting trans people from competing in female sports as being anti-LGBTQ, even though it is a known issue that transgendered women are completely destroying female sports.
Good. Fuck.
It's
See,
almost like
this-
the average man.
This is what's wrong with this community. It's not a sin for you to live your life out the way you want to live it. It is a problem when you're pretending that you're not
that's a
hurting
loaded
someone
statement.
else.
That's a loaded statement. I don't know about that.
I mean, it is a sin by definition of your religion.
Technically speaking, transgendered people are not mentioned in the Bible, but I'll level out with you. If a tranny,
I'm pretty sure cross-dressing is mentioned in the Bible.
yes, cross-dressing is. Transgendered people aren't, but I'll level out with you.
No,
Transgenderism
since
is just
transgender
cross-dressing your
people-
balls.
No, but Snack is, since transgender people don't exist in the Bible, that means all those men are just cross-dressing.
I
I mean,
mean,
that's what they are anyway.
yeah, but I'll throw you a bone. If a transgendered person time traveled back to ancient Israel, they'd likely be stoned.
Okay, well, let's...
Whoa, hey, no one was asking for that bone.
Cool it with the
We wanted that.
cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks, Anakin.
Especially in the past few years. The very fact that Republicans...
I'm gonna have to edit out
Same-sex
so
marriage.
much.
God,
Same-sex
he's
marriage.
bringing up the
You know what?
Republicans
Listen.
again.
Can we talk about marriage privilege here? Can we talk about? I don't care about these people. Oh, I have a significant other. We're in love. Yeah. Okay, privileged motherfucker.
I mean,
yeah.
so-
how
so-
great that must that be? I don't care that you get to get married, motherfucker.
Look, for the record, I'm not against LGBT marriage, but I am curious about something. The Institute of Marriage is something that comes from the Bible. It comes from religion.
Multiple religions, in fact.
I'm confused by the LGBT community's obsessions for having a right to a religious right that is constantly... Hold up. Okay,
Synecdoche is
I'm
deafened.
back. I'm back.
What happened?
He's back, so go back to your podcast.
No,
What
I had to answer the door.
I knew it. His mom walked in.
What were we on about?
I was saying that at this point you have to admit that it's like an anti-religious thing, because even when offered the concept of a civil union, which has all of the same like material benefits as a marriage, they still insist that they want to be religiously married. So it has to be some kind of weird like I want to subvert the institution of religion kind of thing, because why else would they want that? It just
I mean, look, the Bible isn't exactly friendly to LGBT people, which is why I'm confused as to why you would want what the Bible claims is marriage in the first place. It just seems like an oxymoron. Like, the people who want this... like, the people who want this don't seem to understand exactly what they're advocating for, or what the actual implications are.
And I still don't... I don't even think that... just to go back to the main point, is the same-sex marriage ban really anti-LGBT legislation? I don't think so.
I mean, I guess that's debatable.
Well, in what way is it anti-LGBT?
Well, it stops gay people and lesbians from getting married. That's the L and the G.
Well, that's not anti-LGBT, that's anti-gay marriage specifically. That's one thing that you can do. That's not... I would say that being an anti-LGBT legislation would have to constitute some kind of attack on their existence as a concept.
Hey, look, this isn't my area of expertise. I'm the weirdo who talks about God existing in 10 dimensions.
Are you saying it's my expertise? Are you trying to imply something?
Bosun, I can't help if you chose to read into that. And
you're being intellectually dishonest.
One can only wonder as to why you would read that into that, Bosun.
You're being intellectually dishonest.
One would only wonder why you chose to sneed that.
To fought marriage equality tooth and nail and still have an eye toward nuking it should be enough, really. That's it. That should literally be enough for all of you to understand why some of us might think that directly funding Republicans is not a harmless bit of personal spending.
On a fundamental level, it is a harmless bit of spending. Because at the end of the day, whether or not you think the standards of Republicans are not to your liking is not relevant to the fact that there are people who hold to certain ideals, both philosophically, politically, and theologically, that are opposite to yours. You don't own reality. You don't get to tell people what is moral and what is not, especially when you've decided to throw objective morals out the window. That's not how reality works, sweetheart.
Seriously, how is that not enough? Republicans are the ones almost uniformly in favour of businesses refusing to serve gay people, citing their precious religious liberty.
I'm not gonna bake the cake!
I mean...
If one more person tells me to bake the cake, I'm gonna go fucking insane!
No.
The roots of evil have sprung up in our cake. Our ovens will not...
Speaking strictly about the United States law, it is technically illegal to put up a sign. It is illegal to put up a sign that says no gays allowed. You can't... You're not... Under United States law, you're not allowed to actually do that. So, I mean... in concordance with United States law, I agree. No one should be allowed to do that.
Which in their diseased minds is superior to the personal liberty of Americans.
Okay.
You don't believe it. You don't believe in personal liberty. You don't.
Also, and look, at the risk of being canceled myself, I do, and I mean this in with the purest intentions. It is, I mean, you have to admit, slightly ironic of someone who identifies as transgender to say that someone else has a diseased mind. Would you not? That there is at least a little smidgen of irony.
No comment.
No comment indeed.
But I know from talking to a lot of these people that none of them believe in individual liberty. That is the very antithesis of the current worldview of the intersectionalists that run the LGBTQ camp. They are anything but individualists. You
Frankly, I
don't
don't
believe
believe
in
in
individual liberties. You can tell yourself you believe in individual liberties. You can most certainly convince yourself that you do. But you don't. If you did, your various political and philosophical ideologies would be geared towards the individual and not groups.
So, citizens of a so-called free country, when they see me pissing on the sidewalk.
Cawthon's daddy Mitch McConnell was among several high-ranking Republicans who urged the Supreme Court to allow states to ban gay marriage, and only dropped it because it became legally improbable, not because he didn't believe the pathetic and ridiculous argument that marriage should be between a man and a woman. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Well, again, the concept of marriage is something that comes from the Bible, and the Bible says that it should be between a man and a woman. Now, I'm not against civil unions between people who are not men and women. Identify as whatever you want. Go for it. But to suggest that what Mitch McConnell is saying is technically inaccurate when it is technically accurate...
I mean, look, he's getting pretty intellectual here. I do have to admit, it's a little dense. His usage of Occam's baby voice is very... I mean, I'm starting to be convinced, honestly. I think that he might be right on this.
Oh, it's too late. I've already died of secondhand embarrassment.
Someone asked me to stop doing a woo-woo. Probably gonna do it some more. Oh, and on the subject of gender, we need to talk about how the Republican Party has glommed onto the terrifying wave of transphobic hate that has been spewing out of the United Kingdom after anti-trans movements were funded by Chris.
Why do you think that is, though? Like, I can only voice this in such a delicate manner. People in the LGBTQ community don't seem to understand that it's their actions that are causing people to not like them. I mean, there are plenty of non-religious people, notable atheists, who are not in favor of the LGBTQ community. This is not a religious issue. You can go ahead and point out that there are a lot of religious people that choose to not or disagree with the LGBTQ community based off religious principles, and you'd be correct in pointing that out. But to pretend that this is exclusively a religious issue, again, how is anyone educated on this topic supposed to take you seriously? The reality of it is, and I'm willing to say it, 2013 or 2014, one of the 2 years, I can't remember off the top of my head, the LGBT community acquired marriage. Great, fine. Okay, it was 2013. I got it right the first time. They then proceeded to use that as a battering ram with which to beat people who just didn't agree with them. Again, going to your local cake baker, and I hate to lean on that one instance, but it is really the best instance of the most egregious behavior when it comes to this. Going to your local cake baker and them denying you, that's one thing. Traveling 4 states to find one that will reject you, that's not reasonable behavior. Even if he is in the wrong, that's just not reasonable behavior. And the average citizen takes note of that. So, when you get these normal people out in the streets and they want to support you, but then they're frequently told, well, you're a white male, or you're this, you're that. The primary complaint I hear all the time is white male. I'm sure other people get attacked.
As a parentheses white male myself.
The gist is, When that happens, you've now created an enemy out of an ally. There is one thing you ought never do when looking to win, and that is to isolate yourself from your allies on enemy lines. This is why intersectionalism is failing. Because you've chosen to divide yourselves on enemy lines. So, you can live in your bubble and pretend that it's Christian fundamentalism that's funding all the anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. The reality of it is that it's much, much, much bigger than that. The actual behavior of the LGBT community has been disgusting within the past couple years. And I'm not even homophobic. Alright? I need to make that clear here. Right. I think of myself as being more indifferent than anything. I just don't care. But I can't help but notice that when certain LGBT groups are saying it's okay to think children are attractive, there is a problem. You don't want to address it, and then you want to pretend as though it doesn't exist and that the hate's coming from an external factor. That to me tells me that, again, you're not objective on this topic. No, I disagree. I disagree with the premise. I state your premise is fundamentally flawed and false.
Christian right-wing groups in the United States. So loving. Earlier this year, even though we've still got a pandemic on our fucking hands...
I think most of these Christians, and I'm not one of them, so I can't argue on behalf of them, I think they would say something along the lines of, hate the sin, not the sinner. And I don't know if that reasoning actually works, but to point out how unloving it is, again, according to their philosophy, they would disagree. So that's less of them not meeting your standards and more of the two of you not sharing an axiomatic statement. Again, this is why being educated on philosophy is important.
Republicans around the country felt the time was right for a coordinated attack on trans youths, by far among the most vulnerable and unprotected people in the entire country.
Trans youth. How many people is that, just out of curiosity?
Trans youth, quite a bit, since they groom people on the regular.
How many of them are actually trans, though? Like, I mean, like, they've actually made the transition. Not like guys who are identifying as girls, but, like, still have their penis.
Well, I mean, when I think when they say unprotected, they mean not allowed to transition, so...
Well, they're children and teenagers. It would be fundamentally irresponsible to let them make such a life-changing decision at such a young age. Stephanie?
Chudling, when I was a child, I knew exactly what I wanted. My little chudling.
So if that's what he means to convey, well then no, you're just wrong. They're not an unprotected group. That's just parents being responsible. And again, we come back to this bizarre circle. The last thing we did with the responding to skeptical clips, I said something along the lines of like, well, like Bill Nye was advocating that people of religion don't teach their children their religion. And it's the same nonsense here. No one who lives in the real world is under the impression that parents don't have some form of sovereignty over their children. No one who lives in the real world thinks this way. So, what point are you making here? Responsible fathers ought not let their children make life-changing decisions when they're not even adults yet? What, like, Do you think that's a bad thing? It just sounds as though you're advocating for parents to be irresponsible, if anything. If that's the case, at the very least.
Citing long debunked arguments and claiming there are problems where there have literally been no problems for years, ever, actually.
Arguments? No, she just said the word debunked. Continue.
Oh. Alright, I guess it's debunked. Never mind then. We've lost. Pack it home, boys.
Cawthon's politicians of choice have simultaneously moved to ban trans people from the bathrooms they've been using without issue for decades.
I bet I could find one issue if I really tried hard enough.
I don't even think it matters. Even if it's without the issue. I mean, look. You can't just go in the girls' bathroom. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be blunt about it, Stephanie. But you can't just go into the girls' bathroom.
Well,
like
that's actually...
It's just creepy.
I hate to break this to you, but that's actually a straw man. My local college changed a whole bunch of rooms to transgendered bathrooms, and they took the men's bathrooms. Which, by the way, very nice to be generous with the male side of this and have the women give up no bathrooms. Very nice. I mean, I just don't happen to know that the majority of trans people happen to be biological men. I just don't know that for a fact or anything, and therefore there aren't any women actually walking into that male's bathroom to begin with.
Okay. Oh no, women want to go to the bathroom and look at my dick. Oh, so bad.
Yeah. That'll never happen. Sorry.
And to block trans people from doing school sports.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah.
For the people who follow me, forgive me. Fuck you, Stephanie. Okay? Fuck you. You know damn well that is a problem. Okay? It is an unfair biological advantage that these individuals have. They've had testosterone pumped through their body for 20 plus years of their lives. They're literally breaking records at constant.
It is funny to me. I don't like TERFs either. TERFs are really fucking weird and like crazy people, but they're an interesting example of how like in an effort to become as far left as possible, the mainstream like institution of progression have just left women behind because now there's an even more marginalized group of people that we have to protect. So I guess fuck women now. We don't care about them anymore. Like we don't have to protect them anymore. Now we have trans women to protect. It's like just the way that they'll just drop you. Like they'll just let you go at the drop of a hat if there's another new minority that is in conflict with you.
Well, this is a very real issue. These women can't compete because he's a biological male. He's got an unfair advantage. That's why male and female sports were separated to begin with, Stephanie. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether or not they identify as a female at that point. They are still biologically male and have an advantage over their counterparts. In a normal system, we call this cheating. Now, cheating is when you have an advantage that innately makes it more likely that you will win. And that's a bad thing. That puts a halt to what we call competition. And we want competition to be available to people who don't cheat. So...
you sound mad, my little chudling.
I'm disappointed that someone can be that stupid to actually think that the transgendered women in women's sports is not a problem. When it is. It's not just a problem. It's a depressing problem because it's a problem that shouldn't have happened. We live in a scientific age of high progress, the people on the left ought to know better. And it's just
Be better.
It's disappointing to see that they don't know any better. So,
Claiming
we already have a type of Stephanie posting. Feels it's called Jennifer posting.
they have an unfair advantage, which is actual bullshit when you consider that no trans person has dominated fucking.
What?
he's just straight up lying. That's all there is to it. He's just straight up lying.
Well, Stephanie, you seem to be dominating the PC gamer review section of YouTube, so I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting too, isn't it? Because isn't it like all of the aren't like trans people holding all the records in fucking like game speed running now too? Because all the fucking speedrunners are becoming trans.
Well, the first female gamer in the League of Legends community, I'm sorry, not gamer, professional player, happened
Hey, what the hell?
happened to be transgendered. And I mean, again, it's just all these like there are a lot of instances in sports, both esports and regular sports, of just trans people doing first women stuff, and it's like, okay, so no biological women has actually done it yet then. I mean, in the ultimate insult, we sent a man to do a woman's job. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you think this way, you're anti-women.
School sports. They don't know the science. They don't know the reality.
Yeah. Transgenderism is based off of the findings of John Money.
We don't need to get into that right now.
Stop!
All right. Well, anyone who
That's
watches
not really what
this
this video is about.
No, you're right. I'm just going to say this. If anyone wants to know where the core of gender theory comes from, Google John Money, and then come back to me and tell me with a serious face that that's science.
Let's see, they don't know anything. Most of these people have never even met a trans person, but they hate them.
I've met two. Unfortunately, I've met two, and both of them spent inordinate amounts of time plotting behind my back and manipulating me. That is a very real story.
It's
and I lost. I lost so much as a result of that. So, to tell me I've never met a trans person when I've actually met three actually. I mean, I'm still waiting for Almor Duke to try something.
Oh my.
I've also met several trans people. While none of them were explicitly mean to me, many of them were unpleasant to be around, and a lot of them were very stinky.
Well, out of the three I've met, two of them have literally backstabbed me into oblivion.
Wait, hold on. Another one, Ash.
It's like that Nick Fuentes video. Do Jews hurt you in your personal life? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but Nick Fuentes is just lying. He's saying that to be funny.
Well, no, he's saying that because the ADL has gone out to ruin his life multiple times, which is a Jewish-run organization.
I mean, he does. Look, we're not getting into this now. He does say anti-Semitic things. You don't want that to happen. Don't say anti-Semitic things. I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, he shouldn't have said anti-trans things if you didn't want to get manipulated. Sorry.
I didn't. That's just it. Like, I was initially very open to being open to trans people, and after not one but two in a row, mind you, spent months manipulating me and getting me to turn on my friends. Of my relationships with them have, by the way, out of the three of them, and they will go nameless, even though a few of them are here. Two of them have, I'd say, recovered at about 2/3. And, oh no, I was talking about how the recovery, not who did it. 2 out of 3, I'd say one of them was recovered fully, the other one's recovered as far as it's going to recover, and the last one will never recover. I mean, I maintain positive relationships with all three of them, but I've lost a significant amount thanks to those two. So, I've met trans people, and with the exception of Al Marduk, no thanks. Stay over there. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. The other two have just ruined it for you.
And I mean, look, he says that like they've never met them, but the next thing he says is they hate them anyway, even though they never hate them. I mean, look, I wouldn't even say I hate them necessarily. They're usually very unpleasant people, and they're mentally ill and wrong about being trans. But I mean, that's
them, and they
he'll probably
literally
say that that's hatred. He'll probably say that that's hatred.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, it's not.
just make stuff up. Even more disturbing,
Oh, okay. Stephanie, I'll tell you what, if you've ever watched this video, add me on Discord, and I'll be more than happy to sit down and record with you the entire experience I had with these two individuals.
He's referring to the sports thing. He's referring to the sports thing, though. No.
Well, I thought he was just talking about No, he's talking about transgender
they
people.
don't know anything. Most of these people have never even met a trans person, but they hate them, and they are literally...
Yeah, no, it's just trans people in general. And for that record, I still don't hate trans people. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just whenever I actually forgot about the third individual. So that's actually 4. So, like, out of the 4 transgender people I've met, 3 of them have been outwardly antagonistic to me, despite me having done nothing to them.
Wait, 3? What was the other one?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Continue.
So, it's no, I don't hate them. It's just I'm not comfortable around them because it seems as though the majority are going to try and be antagonistic to me, irregardless of anything I do. Do you expect me to just chill with Nazis all the time? Because most Nazis would really like to have a free pass to just beat up a Jewish person. Am I supposed to do that too? Am I supposed to not look out for myself at this point?
I'll box you, Senator.
You would lose, so...
just make stuff up. Even more disturbing, a number of the anti-trans bills want to subject kids to genital inspections.
Hold the phone. Are children not already, like, examined by doctors?
They are.
Like, that's...
Well,
I mean, they shouldn't be having genital exams by their fucking teachers, but there's no context to this article. I don't know who would be giving them. I would assume doctors, and doctors already give them genital exams.
Well, I don't know if who matters. I'd like to know the why. And I don't get the why in this article either because Jim's not showing it. So, I'm sorry, Stephanie. Stephanie's not showing it.
He's just showing this guy's face, and he looks like a fake person. This looks like this person does not exist image. I think this is a CIA psyop.
Yeah, I mean, that guy looks like he'd like genital inspection day, I'll give you that.
They're suspected of being trans, so they can be outed potentially and banned from partaking in school activities.
Is that really the why? Why aren't you showing us the why from the article? You see, this is why I don't believe that. You're gonna have to show me proof of that.
Now, I am not sure I do need to tell you why forcing kids to have their genitals inspected by random adults is a bad thing.
Is it done by random adults?
I like that he chose to like have a shot of it zooming in on Wind Waker Link for just talking about inspecting children's genitals. I'm not sure like what the artistic decision behind this was.
Well, I mean, if you believe that, Jennifer. If you believe that, Stephanie, why should kids be able to chop off their own fucking genitals at will?
Yeah, right.
Look, Jennifer.
Children's genitals shouldn't be examined so that they can participate in sports, but they should be chopped off. Like, I don't... Interesting position.
Do I? I hope not. because apparently there are people out there who think it's such a good idea that they want it to be the law, or at least hate trans people enough that it doesn't matter to them. I find it disturbing, I find it creepy. I'm not going to say that Scott Cawthon is a fan of people who want to grope kids, but he's definitely giving money to the party of family groping. I mean values, family.
And you're probably giving money to the people who are continuous.
Scott Cawthon is also a pedophile. Okay,
Yeah,
all right, fair enough.
I mean,
That's probably real.
Well, now you just lost. Now you just lost. You lost, sweetie.
man, what is even in the rest of this 7 minutes?
Oh my god, yeah, we're only halfway done. What could be left? He's gotten already to the point of calling Scott Cawthon a fucking pedophile.
Like we're
How much further can we go?
We're an hour and 30 minutes.
Values. Among other abusive and traumatic things the Republicans want to do is to force trans kids to be called by pronouns and names they don't identify with, and to report...
Well, to be fair, and again, I only know this having talked to 4 transgender people, the rules for gendering them is so inconsistent that people actually... I know I got stressed. Like, I was just so conscious of, like, they, them, zoos, or like it's you need an entire library if you wish to be consistent with these people, and some of them, I'm not saying you do, but some of them take it very seriously. If you don't say they or them and instead you say he or she just by accident because 99% of the planet uses those two, they'll just go ballistic on you. And much like how I talk big talk to the Jewish people who think that people on the bus ought to just move for them because of their religion, I'm going to tell you the exact same thing. No! You don't own the place.
Report to parents any child suspected of gender non-conformity. Suspected. Not only is this straight-up psychological abuse and completely disrespectful of a child's agency and identity...
So that confirms it then. Jim really does think that parents don't have any form of sovereignty over their children. A baby is born and is fully autonomous. Again, if you think that, you do not live in the real world. That's all there is to it. You don't live in the real world. You live in La La Land, where parents don't actually raise their children, and people just willfully abandon their culture, ideals, beliefs, and symbologies over the course of one generation because some liberal told me to do so. This is, if anything, this is Looneyville logic.
It's outright dangerous if certain kids have bigoted parents who could be capable of anything if they suspected their child might be trans.
I mean, yeah, again, I actually agree with you here. Violence against your trans children is terrible. It's not a good thing to do in any context. So, I guess, sure, have that one.
But this is what Republicans want, and this is what Scott Cawthon...
I don't think that's what Republicans want.
Scott Cawthon literally wants you to murder your children. What an amazing video.
Wouldn't you say that it's very harmful to give kids, personality and body-altering medication?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The human body doesn't fully develop until you're 20. So, for anybody to tell you that, oh yeah, you can take these body mods before your body's even done developing, again, you don't live in the real world if you think that. You just don't. And they have the audacity to accuse you of being anti-science. Where's the science in literally ruining your body's natural processes? Like, there's no science to be had in that. It's antithetical to the scientific process and its end result.
Gives money to. Healthcare for trans people is also off the table in many Republican minds across the nation.
Because it's cosmetic. Fuck you.
Cosmetic care does not count as healthcare. I don't mind them spending their money on cosmetic stuff. What I do mind is that they're forcing everyone else to pay for it.
Wait until this guy figures out we don't want to pay.
Well, this is the thing, right? It's funny. It's funny, right? Because there's been like sex reassignment surgery for fucking like decades. People have like had like sex reassignment since like probably like the 70s, at least the primitive form of it. But the reason that people are upset about it now is because they're trying to make it out to be like not cosmetic. People are upset about sex reassignment surgery now because it's like, well, because they're trying to make it out to be like, I have a mental illness and I need sex reassignment surgery. No, you don't.
Well, no, aren't you not allowed to call it a mental illness anymore? So it's just like...
So their entire justification for it to be non-cosmetic is gone anyway.
On the topic of that, I had an interesting conversation with a friend where they were confused when I told them, yeah, the UN doesn't consider transgenderism a mental illness. And then he just said, well, then what's the point?
I guess, yeah. What is the point?
Yeah. I mean, again, cosmetic surgery is not healthcare.
It's really bizarre to me that they made the push for it to not be a mental illness, because that's what could have made them sympathetic.
Stop using that word.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because mental illness implies there's something wrong.
There is something wrong, either with your mind or with your body. Either way, something's wrong, and your body seems to work fine.
If your mind is not like in the same place as your body is in terms of what sex you want, then there is a problem, I think.
So I'm in favor of this. I very much disagree with the notion that everyone else should be forced to pay for your sex change cosmetic surgeries.
And also,
it's
I agree
not
with
vital
this.
to your health at all. It just isn't.
And also, I don't know why he put it here because it's not related to what he's saying. But this headline, I also agree with. Yeah, that should probably be a felon.
Oh yeah,
I mean, maybe a not a felony. I was gonna say maybe misdemeanor, but felony because that's fucking with like children. That's not good.
That's child abuse. That's child abuse.
That's definitely a felony.
All right, and by the way, just to be clear here, if you think it's bad for Christians to teach their fundamentalism, but okay to indoctrinate youth into being completely trans to the point where you're giving them therapy before their body's done, you're a hypocrite.
And they've moved to deny gender-affirming care to actually make it...
I see, gender affirming care again.
I said this earlier. It's all about rhetoric. It's all about rhetoric. Cronies on vacation versus gender affirming care.
Yeah, again.
And he criticized pro-life earlier for being for just putting fluff on the term. Yeah.
Pro-life
is just fluff, but gender affirming care.
I just don't know how to react, to be perfectly honest, at this point. I can't. I don't. How am I supposed to take this seriously?
Well, you know what his argument would be, right? You're not supposed to take it seriously. It's just a silly video on the internet where I'm spewing my opinions. It's not supposed to be taken seriously, lol.
Yeah, well, then that just makes you a coward. Which I already called him at the beginning of the video.
That seems to be the consensus as far as this video is concerned. That seems to be the core idea here.
I mean, in my opinion, if you make a 15-minute video basically calling Scott Cawthon a racist, a pedophile, or at least a funder of any of those things, and then you just hide behind the vernacular of satire, you're a coward. That's all that it comes down to. You do this kind of stuff, you're a coward.
A felony for doctors and parents to support trans kids who seek care. A fucking felony. Oh, and by the way, that care does not involve irreversible changes. That care does not involve surgery for trans kids. That's...
And you would know that as a fact. You're on the ground and you did the research, right? I don't really think it'd be relevant whether or not
surgery isn't irreversible, and that's the one he's making. But I guess hormone therapy isn't necessarily irreversible, but it's pretty fucking difficult. I mean, it's not like it's a walk in the park to just walk back hormone therapy.
Not only is it difficult, but it does irreversible damage to the body if it's done before it's even done developing.
If I remember correctly, I remember there was a lawsuit happening in England in which a person is suing the NHS for not stopping them from going with the hormone therapy. Because essentially they realized they weren't trans and they realized, oh fuck, I just done irreversible damage to my body.
Find that article, we'll take a look at it.
It's made up bullshit. And this isn't just a handful of outlying politicians. These bills are seeing popular Republican support. They're being voted in wherever there's a chance to do so.
Good.
And that's totally because we just hate trans people. It's not that they're outwardly hostile towards us despite indifference or even mild support. No. We're just all bigots. None of us have any reason to be weary of these individuals after 3 to 2 different attempts at ruining someone's intellectual circles. No, that's never happened. That's never happened. You, sir, are a bigot.
Only recently, a Republican by the name of Mary Bentley openly called trans people abominations on the House floor. And
That's pretty good. That's pretty funny.
Right.
Good for her.
Right there.
Let's take a look at this article quickly. NHS Gender Clinic should have challenged me more over transition. March 1st, 2021. 23-year-old woman who is taking legal action against the NHS Gender Clinic says she should have been challenged more by medical staff over her decision to transition to a male as a teenager. Oof.
They're delusional.
Yeah.
It's basically a crime to like question them. So like,
Hold on. Yeah. So that's the other thing too that I forgot they literally called them puberty blockers. How is that not like irreversible damage when you're literally calling them puberty blockers?
Well, it's because Stephanie doesn't know what science actually is. There are, for the record, there are really 2 types of sciences. There's hard science, and then there is soft science. Transgenderism goes into the category of soft science. It frequently has things that are not repeatable in a lab setting. This is
humanity is anything.
Yeah, of course. This is due to the inconsistency of the human brain and the inconsistency of human behavior. Copulate that with the notion of the true hard sciences, like physics, biology, chemistry. And you have a major disconnect here because many of the people who say this stuff are under the impression that they are in the realm of hard science when they are not. The biology of it is in the hard science, but the biology of it suggests that it's harmful. The soft science, the stuff that's generally non-repeatable, in fact, they're having what's called a repeatability crisis right now. 90% of papers can't be replicated, Stephanie. You think that that like all the ones about transgendered are the ones that were replicated and everything else is just wrong? Is like because that's just not true. So, you know, you can act like you're on the scientific high ground all you want. You're not. And you likely never will be.
And, while wearing a blazer, stated a woman shall not wear anything that pertains to a man. As has been pointed out, the Bible quote which Bentley wielded like...
Did you really have to say you will never be a woman, you freak, at the end of your rant? That was a little bit far, don't you think?
I apologize. I disavow. I disavow. I never said that.
I apologize for my work.
I was drunk. I was drunk. That's what it was.
It's drunk. I was misled. It was a phase.
It was locker room talk, I swear.
A transphobic cudgel also condemns mixed fabric.
Oh, here we go. Sinaticus. You should take a crack at this one.
Ooh, this is my favorite one. Thou shalt not wear a garment of divers sorts, as of woolen or linen together. Now, the laws found in the Torah are of hyper-complex cultural origin. I wouldn't expect some no one on the internet who isn't educated to know of it. The short end of this is that getting two types of fabrics would actually be very difficult back when the Torah was actually written. Clothing used to be very, very valuable. I mean, it used to be valuable a mere 100 years ago. People really don't understand how lucky we are to be living in a world where clothing isn't valuable. For most of human history, it was. And so the prohibition on putting two types of fabrics together really was a precautionary law, because you could likely ruin both of them if you had them together. You know, weaving methods are not as good back then, and so the fibers will stick to each other and other stuff. So it's more of a precautionary law than anything, which, again, you put it back into its historical context, put it back into its cultural context, it makes perfect sense. Only an idiot would bother to try and pretend it's applicable under today's context. And yeah, that's directly at you and the Christian person. I'm talking about both of you. You're both uneducated on this topic. Now, Deuteronomy 22:8, he's using two different versions, by the way. I'd like to know what the King James 22:8 says. Likely something different. When you build a new house, you shall make a parapet for your roof, that you may not bring the guilt of blood upon your house, if anyone should fall from it. I need more context here as to what that's actually talking about.
A parapet refers to like the ridges. It refers to like the ridges on the edge of like like on a castle. Those like ridges. That's a parapet. So what it's saying here is it's referring to like putting a thing on your roof so that no one will fall from it, so that you won't be guilty if someone falls from it.
Oh,
it's,
that's my interpretation.
It's very old because it comes from when everyone was living in fucking mud huts that had flat top roofs.
Yeah, I about to say again, everyone's living in mud huts. All right, that makes perfect sense actually. If everyone's living in mud huts. So what's the problem with this one?
It's literally saying put a fence on your roof so that no one will fall from it. Because if someone falls off your roof, you'll be guilty of not. What is it even like? What's the relevance here?
Yeah, no, because they're trying to say you are responsible for
Bricks.
my safety. That's what they're saying.
And people whose houses don't have parapets.
Oh yeah, he's
Oh.
saying. Well, actually, because your house doesn't have a parapet, you're not following Christianity, and so you can't make any judgments about
Okay,
Christianity.
yeah, so he's just taking that out of historical context then.
Oh,
I mean, Stephanie, if you wish to correct me, please, by all means. But as far as I'm concerned, do you want people to fall off roofs?
I think Jimquisition is advocating for people to fall off roofs.
I mean, because he's acting like that's a stupid law. Like that's a stupid idea to stop people from falling off roofs. Like,
in the past, it was a necessary rule.
like I actually don't understand what's being advocated for here. Do you think people ought to fall off roofs?
Sad, because I think you mentioned before, like one of your lessons, that one of the things that people need to know about the Bible is that a lot of the rules made a long time ago apply to historically, and that the Bible acts as a sort of skeleton rather than the entire body.
Right. So what I tell people is like, imagine if the world got nuked completely, and like we live in like a Fallout universe. We could use the Torah to essentially rebuild society. Torah is more along the lines of the foundations. You don't live in your foundations, you build your house on the foundations. And so what Torah represents is the fundamental necessities for pointing us in the correct direction. So, yeah, a lot of it really does have historical context that, I mean, yeah, if you don't account for the historical context, of course it seems crazy, of course. But putting it back into its historical context, again, things aren't all that crazy anymore. Of course, I wouldn't expect an amateur online to know anything about that. So...
Parapets. Fucking hell. This is because the Bible is fucking weird. And when I say this attack is coordinated, I mean it. In the past year, more anti-LGBTQIA+ bills have been passed than at any other time in American history. And it's thanks to Republicans, the ones who still have the power to do this shit. In just 5 months, the Republicans have turned trans people into a wedge issue to attack wider...
I would think that LGBT people turned LGBT people into a wedge issue. Because I literally couldn't go a single day without hearing how LGBTQ issues affected the work of fiction I was writing.
Oh, hot take.
So, no, LGBT people made LGBT people a wedge issue. Don't be pinning this on other people.
You have ruined tabletop role-playing for me.
Unironically.
Right. Things are worse now than they were in 2015 when the Republicans were attacking the queer community.
Hold on. What? Things are worse now than they were in 20... In what way? In what fucking way?
Name a right you've lost. I'll wait.
I can't do... I'm no longer allowed to inject my kid with estrogen. It would be considered a felony. That's a right I've lost.
Yo, that's actually true, though!
En masse. And make no mistake, just like what we've seen with transphobes in the UK, the attacks on trans kids is the beginning of a wider attempt to attack queer...
They're not attacking trans kids. They're protecting them from crazed lunatics who are looking to literally ruin their bodies.
From the Jews.
Whoa.
Okay? They're not attacking them. That's protecting them from lunatics that want to change their bodies before they're done developing.
People, and to bring us right back around to trying to ban gay marriage and exclude the scary gays from society. Look.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great is one of the most famous people in all of history, and he was so gay.
Oh, really? You're gonna do this? No, he wasn't.
Come on, man. No.
He's right.
He
The gay founding father was Ben Franklin.
You can't just go like talking about historical context and then you can't be relating Alexander the Great to like a modern gay man. That's fucked up.
well, I'm not.
It was very
I'm not.
massive.
My point was gonna be,
You want to rape kids?
gay people have never been excluded from society. This is a myth. This is a myth that has been cooked by the modern LGBT community, that they have always been removed from society, that they have always been ostracized from society. That has got to be one of the single greatest lies told in America today.
Well, it's because of secularism, Snaticus. When marriage became a legal thing, not something of something relating to Christianity, and then they're suddenly like, "Well, why am I not allowed in here?"
I mean,
Also, when you were saying like that was a myth and everything, I can hear Bosun salivating, almost ready to say it, like the Jews.
well, I mean, I can already hear people talk about the Middle Ages as if the Middle Ages is representative of all of history when it's not. So, you know,
I mean, it depends on like the period of history, and even when it was accepted, they usually had some weird rules about it.
Oh well, not in ancient Greece.
Well, even ancient Greece, because like it was like it had to be an older man and a little boy, and I'm not even joking. That's not even like a pedo joke. That was unironically how they viewed.
No, not even that.
homosexuals.
No, you're absolutely right. Women for procreating, little boys for fun. That was the general rule of thumb back then.
Stop.
It's not just that though. It's not just that. You gotta remember,
We're talking about history, Gloop. That's just a fact.
Don't say it like
It's not just that though. You have to remember. Alcibiades and Plato had or Plato or Socrates, I can't remember, but they had a very big relationship, even like onto their adult years.
Yeah, well, it was common in Greece for teacher-student relationships to occur, and it would frequently happen between men.
I'm pretty sure Plato's was an advocate for it too.
Yeah, well, okay, but again, my point was, they have not been excluded from society, at least not from a historical standpoint. Sure, there are fits of anti-gay sentiment left and right, dependent on religious reasons and political reasons, but to say that like gay people have always just been in the shadows, that's just a lie.
Look, it's bad out here for us, folks. It's real bad. And
you.
if you're cis and
You
straight,
became trans
probably...
I hate this shit.
Hello, my
I hate
fellow
this.
LGBT person.
Yeah, right. Like, it's bad for us. We're in this together. Me and you. Touches your shoulder. Like, shut the fuck up.
probably don't know just how horrifying, how terrifying it is to see endless reports calling you and your people predators, pedophiles, and perverts.
I as a white person don't know what it's like to have a bunch of people release report after report about how terrible you are. I don't know what that's like.
But, like, again, why do you think that is? It's because, do you think it's because they see that certain LGBT groups are saying it's okay to be attracted to kids? Like, you know, I didn't make that up. I mean, I can't get it up right now just because I'm recording for everyone, but, like, I don't know, like, if I find it later when I come back from my job.
Wait a minute, you were boasting about how you have multiple fucking monitors.
Discord is autistic and doesn't let you click away.
No, I think you're autistic.
Okay. I mean, thanks for derailing the conversation.
You're welcome.
But like, again, I don't want to make this argument, but I'm gonna have to. Back in 2013, I was pro gay marriage. And I remember a Catholic priest who would sit outside of my high school and try and convince people for why it was bad. And he said, you watch, boy, by 2020, there'll be pedophile advocates. And I thought he was just being a bigot. I was like, nah, that's not real. That's not true.
Where's that one, like, Vox article where it's like, can we just admit that we want to indoctrinate kids? Yeah.
Find that one. I need that. And then there were people who were saying it's okay to be attracted to little kids.
I don't think you should lay the blame on Bosun here.
So, I mean, what other choice is there, Stephanie? If I can't weed you out from the rest, and you refuse to address them, what else is there to be done but to do away with the whole thing until we can get this straightened out? Because apparently, none of you seem to really know what's going on.
All while our accusers want to bully and grope children. After coming out...
Oh, big words coming from people who are pro ruining their bodies to begin with.
I'm transitioning myself. One thing I had to tell myself after seeing all the hate and the endless daily attacks is, well, this is another fine mess you've gotten us into. I won't lie, I'm scared. I'm scared of what the GOP wants to do to us, and I'm likewise scared of anybody giving them the money to do so. We are scared, and we are so...
I'm scared.
No one wants to fuck you, bro.
I am scared that the GOP will, like, what are you scared of exactly? Like, what, that they'll genocide you or some shit? Yeah, that'll happen. Are you scared? And I listen,
Yeah.
you know what, maybe, I will admit,
like that'll happen. Fucking Shrek opening.
I will admit, maybe he's worried that they won't let him participate in certain sports, but just looking at him, I don't think that that's really what he wants to be doing, is participating in sports. That's maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he really loves sports, but just like looking at,
No, of course not.
figures.
He just happens to be incredibly liberal with who can participate in these sports. You wanna know what? I'm gonna start advocating for my dog to represent me in running events. Why not? Why not? Huh?
tired. And I think we can be forgiven for, well, being pissed off. So yeah, these are the people we're dealing with. And
I'll forgive you for being pissed off. You want to know what I won't forgive? Ruining 3 of my friendships. 4 or 5 of them, actually.
I won't forgive you for ruining Five Nights at Freddy's, frankly, because that's really what you're
I also won't
on the
forgive
docket
you for
with this
attacking
video.
Scott Cawthon
Yeah,
or
really.
nothing.
Yeah, I actually hope he I hope someone fillets you alive with like barbed wire about
I'm scared. I'm scared of what Warren will do.
You should be.
I've seen what white people can do. Oh, this mayonnaise is too spicy, nigga!
And this is why the queer community has a problem with where Scott Cawthon spends his money, because for us, it's not just some guy spending his money harmlessly. We're directly affected by the sheer scale and volume of the attacks.
No, you fucking aren't. You, Stephanie Jimqusition, whatever. I forget what your name is.
Stephanie Jimqusition.
I forget your full name.
Sterling?
You are not directly affected by any of the shit that you brought up. You don't have kids. You don't participate in sports. You're not even married anymore. What exactly does it affect you? And outside of that, in the context of the way that it affects other people that aren't you, I think that we've pretty much made the case that it only affects them in a positive way, really. So, I mean, again, what are you afraid of, honestly?
It's being scared on behalf. You know, one of the things that really, pushed me out of my left-leaning bent was when someone told me they were scared on my behalf for the rise of anti-Semitism. And I was like, I think I can handle myself just fine, thank you.
You know what, Sinaticus? They were right to be scared. Up against the wall.
So anti-Semitic, boy.
But, like, they literally treated me as if I was, like, a helpless lamb who was incapable of, like, saving myself. It's like, ooh, what the hell? Like, so it's more that he's offended on behalf of people who he feels will be affected. I'm sorry, she is offended on behalf of people who will be affected.
On our community and the attempts to culturally and legislatively wipe us off the face of the earth. I've said it before.
Wipe you off the... What? We literally cannot inject children with estrogen. I can't... We're trying to be... They're wiping us off the planet.
Well, I hate to...
Oh, actually, you know what? Actually, you know what? That's interesting, isn't it? That's interesting, isn't it? That when it's made illegal for them to like groom children, they say that they're being wiped off the planet. Isn't that funny? Isn't that weird? Why would that wipe you off the planet?
That's a good point.
And I'll say it again, we're facing a genocide attempt.
Glad Felix is here.
Oy vey! It's another show of Sinaticus. Oi, Joshua.
I take it all back. I take it all back. I take it all back. They are being genocide.
Oh my god.
I'm very glad Felix is here to ruin any of our attempts to run for public office.
It's another genocide.
I'll run for private office.
Oh yeah, he'll send it to your boss.
So, fun fact, on the basis of technicalities, since LGBT people aren't an ethnic group, technically it doesn't count as genocide.
Oh yeah, right, because the prefix geno, yeah.
Yeah, prefix geno.
Unless hold on. Unless they're saying there's a gay gene.
It's sexocide. That's what whatever the fuck it is.
Gendercide.
Is Stephanie implying that there's a gay gene?
I don't know. Are they?
Of course, Goy. Of course.
Wait a minute.
But like, on the strictest definition of genocide, technically speaking, it actually isn't genocide. First off, no one's gonna kill you. Second off, you're not an ethnic.
No one's gonna fuck you.
Okay then.
To be fair, Jim Sterling was married.
Phobic turfs, pathetically trying to label themselves as gender
Anthony
critical,
Sterling has never
have
been
openly revelled in our abuse and pain, gained political power, and want us to be buried and legally discriminated against and forced to hide. They want us dead and gone, and no, I'm not inclined to forgive the funding of that fucking hate machine. Cawthon, for his part, has defended his decision to fund some of the most spiteful people in America, explaining that what he's doing is actually good for gay people, because Democrats would have done far worse. I do not know what evidence or past behaviour on the part of the GOP gave Scott this frankly bizarre and incorrect fucking belief, but all I know is that as shitty and useless as the Dems are, they aren't the ones coordinating attacks on children across the country.
No, they're just coordinating attacks on children across the planet instead. Oh.
Do you have a problem with that?
Do you hold on, Fanaticus?
That's kind of an alt-right call sign.
Fanaticus, do you have a problem?
Behaviors.
Fanaticus, do you have a problem with us defending Israel, our greatest ally?
If you have a problem with us defending Israel, just go ahead and say it.
Let's move on.
No, they are just sitting idly by and giving the queer community platitudes that don't mean anything, but they're not trying to actively kill us off. I mean, that's the whole democratic thing, isn't it? We'll let you die, but we won't kill you. Scott also said he got doxxed, and
Oh,
obviously
I
it should
disagree
be
with
said
that.
that that is not the appropriate response, and you shouldn't go around fucking doing that. He deserves all the criticism in the world for funding outright fucking bastards, but you know, trying to endanger him and his family, that does literally more harm than good, you dumbasses. But Cawthon is unapologetic for his actions, and he does have the right to be so, and to continue funding homophobia, transphobia, and good old-fashioned Republican racism. Cawthon has, of course, brought up the right-wing boogeyman of cancel culture, but it is quite clear...
Are you saying cancel culture doesn't exist? We've got people literally digging people's tweets out from 10 years ago. Are you serious?
Didn't Lindsay Ellis get canceled or something?
It was unsuccessful. But yes.
Don't worry, if he gets canceled, then it'll be real.
Oh yeah, because they're already...
Cue the fucking stone toss wheel comp.
Like,
Yeah,
I
basically.
don't like wheels.
I prefer squares. Thank you. That was a bit of Ben Shapiro there.
As a person of mind, that says, I dislike wheels because we never use them.
That was a bit of a Ben Shapiro impression. Well, actually, if you look at it logically, a square wheel is actually much more efficient than a circular.
Yeah.
cancel culture does exist.
Yeah,
and again, you don't live in the real world. I think I've said that several times now, but
yeah, you keep saying that he doesn't live in the real world. What are you trying to imply?
Where does he live?
I'm trying to imply that he lives in La La Land.
I mean, it makes sense considering this person exists that they're being genocided. When
We've got 2 minutes. We're 2 hours in, by the way.
That he will not be cancelled. Hell, Games Press won't even cancel Ubisoft after years of protecting abusers. He continues to have a massive fan base that has stood by him and gone for the throats of any...
Imagery implying that they're all children. No, that's not suggestive imagery at all. Nonsense.
Anybody critical of the guy. He continues to be super wealthy and will continue to use that wealth to fund people who want to oppress me and mine. So yeah, I think Scott Cawthon sucks. It's his right to suck however which way he'd like to suck. I'm free to say he fucking sucks. Welcome to America. Scott Cawthon is a very...
They do flip flop on like whether or not they like America or not.
Well, I predicted they'd make the argument like he's allowed to do whatever he wants, but I'm allowed to criticize him. Like just the complete nothing statement.
I mean, a nothing statement filled with misconceptions, misleading statements, and outright lies, but sure.
Nice man. A very, very, very nice and polite and humble man indeed. Nice doesn't mean good. I do not think he's good. Really?
What's your definition of good, Jim? Everyone taking testosterone steroids?
You see, morals are subjective, Sinaticus, because God not real.
I see. My bad. I forgot to account for that. Moving on.
He sucks. Well, that was a video, wasn't it? Don't forget, before we go, I'll shit it again, because let's face it, if you've gotten this far into the video, you're one of the people who might actually care. Remember, on the...
Oh, I care alright, just not in the way you think.
The 17th, June 17th, on the Enjoy Wrestling YouTube channel, I make my debut at Enjoy. On June 9th,
Okay, so that's it.
God, his fucking wig.
Ooh, look at that. Oh, hold up. No. I gotta go back. Look at that like to dislike ratio.
Well, he certainly has more likes than dislikes, though. It's not that bad.
Oh, by the way, did you know that only 2 years ago, Jim Sterling had 1 million subscribers? And people kept complaining that he talked too much about wrestling and politics in his videos, and that he needed to stop.
Well, let's scroll down to that genital inspection comment.
Where?
They're children, for the love of... Sorry, I'll be back later. I have to go scream at a wall.
Hey, look at this! Hey, he's fucking been making an opposite fucking subscriber fucking milestone. He's been losing them by the...
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's what I said.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It was an amazing video because I watched like
This is
what's it
30
called?
minutes long.
If you watch an archive video, hold on, pause it. If you watch an archive video from like what the fuck they're called, some Kiwi Farm fucking podcaster, they basically say like
I'll be right back.
One of the
I'm gonna-
biggest issues with Jim Sterling is just their weird editing style with using stock video and images for literally fucking everything. When sometimes it doesn't even relate.
Well, he picked that up from Movie Bob. That's a Movie Bob tactic. That's what he does.
Why the fuck does he want to be like Movie Bob?
I don't know.
Penis Inspection Day.
It's Penis Inspection Day.
Oh, God. Penis Inspection Day. Hey, fucking Jim Sterling looks around. When are we gonna get to Penis Removal Day? Clapping from the audience. Yes, yes, yes!
Oh.
Come here, Todd. Chop, chop.
No.
No, my little boy!
I need my Johnson. It's my only method of self-defense. What a fucked world we live in that Penis Inspection Day has become a real thing and is almost arguably necessary. I mean, I guess it's kind of necessary. I don't know.
All right, do we actually want to watch this?
Not on recording,
No.
obviously, but I want to see how it starts at least.
Oh, okay, fine. Let's see how the seed starts.
Yeah.
It's a good video.
Maybe tap your arrow key if he starts droning off.
You watch this.
Kaloo Kalay Parumpa Pum Pum. It is time to celebrate the milestone for the ages. The under 900,000 subscriber special. Oh.
Massive congratulations from all of us here at Ashens to James Stephanie Sterling for managing to get under 900,000 subscribers. Do you know what? I honestly didn't think you'd do it for a while. When I first saw that pink leather jacket, well, I thought it was just too fabulous. I thought people are going to subscribe just to see the jacket. But no, turns out people are blind as well as stupid. So, congratulations on this most auspicious of occasions. Sorry about this lot, I haven't got any boglins.
Wow, less than 900,000 subscribers. Could you ever believe it? We truly have come a long way from 927,000 subscribers. You know, it feels like only February since we last had such a number. Because it was February. In the time since, we've managed to successfully bleed subscribers at a rate one could only call hemorrhagical. Seriously though, I want to say a deep and personal thank you to all of my unsubscribers. I wouldn't be where I am today without your withdrawal of support, and I want you to know that every unsubscription matters. Remember, if you click the bell for notifications, well, YouTube will barely notify you of my content anyway, but click on it again, just to really make sure you don't get any. At the risk of sounding parasocial, I consider you all to be my family, in that I don't talk to you and you won't see me again. As my live-in partner Gerard Butler can attest, family has always mattered to me, and since my own family has been fairly casual and unsurprised about recent changes in my life, I've had to get my feelings of familial abandonment somewhere else, and thank fuck there's always been YouTube.com for negative reinforcement and a constant, overwhelming sense of punishment for literally doing anything. Whether you're doing the same type of content and getting called repetitive, or doing new content that won't get shared because repetition is what gets rewarded. I wish I could point to one decision, event, or situation that led to such a dramatic decrease in subscribers over such a short time, but the simple fact of the matter is this. We did it all together. I kept publishing videos, you kept unsubscribing, It's as simple as that. Of course, based on one's existing opinion of the content and channel, you can come up with all sorts of personally sourced reasons for the drop, and Lord fucking knows I've seen every single confidently expressed theory. One thing I know though, such a sudden, extreme and incredibly well-timed drop in numbers definitely has nothing to do with any single thing that might have happened the exact day the mass subscriber exodus started on a platform with historic hostility towards... Anyway, the subscribers dropped off because I talk about capitalism too much. At least that's what I've been told. When I was just reinforcing the belief that Electronic Arts is a bad video game company that does bad things, I was cheered and applauded and carried around town in a big chair and given the key to the city. When I started to explain how and why Electronic Arts is bad, I started getting side eyes. And then I dared say the word capitalism out loud, because you can intimate it, but you can't say the word. Because then, too many people worked out that the show is about how capitalism is bad. And then, that's when I did too much politics. Well, that and whenever I've acknowledged a woman exists in video games, that's too...
What?
Yeah, he was definitely against Gamergate when that was going on. So he's got
fucking, that I feel like I literally heard that. I need to
women gamers face oppression. Actually, Seneticus, do you think we could go back and see some of his inter-Gamergate content?
Likely
Let's go
not.
back in the path of Stephanie Sterling to see Jim Sterling.
Let me see.
You'd have to scroll.
I want to see if those videos are even still up. This Gamergate was 7 years ago.
Well, first off, they wouldn't be on Jim Sterling's YouTube. They'd be on The Escapist.
That's a good fucking point. That's a good point. Actually, no. They might be on his channel too, but I don't remember.
All old Jimquisition episodes are all here.
In 2014 versions do?
Probably. But, the dates aren't here though.
Why the fuck does the thumbnail look better before?
Let's see when
Solving the sexism situation.
see when that was uploaded.
This is
No,
2011.
too early. Too early.
Too early.
I gotta
Too
go a
early
couple
and he's
years
already
later.
talking shit.
Boycott?
No, that's because look, there's like 2011 Z3. You could probably just look up Jimquisition Gamergate maybe in that.
There's F3, yeah, Gamergate. Nope.
No, I mean like on YouTube, search Jimquisition Gamergate maybe.
What a very loud mechanical keyboard.
Oh, what? Oh, see, I knew it. It was gonna be this one.
So.
There's been a lot of speculation as to what the...
Is this one it?
I don't know.
There's a
But let's
playlist.
see.
Gamergate hashtag on Twitter was really about. It seemed to have been started by Adam Baldwin, or whoever, and has been seized upon by a lot of right-wingers who normally make fun of video game players, but were suddenly on their side when it suited them. But regardless of that, and regardless of the heaps
video game
of...
players were right-wing nerds.
Well, I mean, that's why in today's world, typically if you're a racist, you get called a gamer.
Why, thank you.
horrible abuse that
Gamers
was
are
attached to that.
This is before the Gamergate cultural shift, as Bosun puts it, where Bosun does like to use the word Gamergate cultural shift. He really
I
does.
do. I do. It's more of a phrase than a word, but yeah.
I didn't know
Hashtag.
Gamergate wasn't until 2015, I'm gonna be honest.
Probably better
Yeah,
off
that's why
for
you
it.
don't fit in here.
I'm going to give a lot of people the benefit of a lot of doubt and say that it really was all about, just for the purposes of this video, say it was all about journalistic ethics, the ethics of the games media, and trying to stem the tide of corruption in games media. I said I was going to wait a long while before discussing that because, you know what, for as much as people have tried to compare my previous Jimquisitions to this situation and say, why aren't you repeating yourself and doing the same videos over and over again for this one, this has been a uniquely messy situation, has it not? I mean, it wouldn't have become this big international outrage if it wasn't. So if you seem to think this is exactly the same as all that stuff, you're fooling yourself. You're Captain Wacky Pants. But regardless, I am discussing it sooner than I'd intended because, well, it seemed like there was no way you couldn't. So that's what we're doing. And again, if this is really all about ethics in journalism and all that kind of stuff, giving people the benefit of the doubt. So let's have that discussion, and let's make it a discussion. Okay? Talk over the past few weeks of corruption in the video game media industry. Games journal corrupt. I feel that's ridiculous. To sense what else is crazy? The delicious taste of Mountain.
I actually miss this Jimquisition.
Yeah.
I don't.
I think this setup is much better. Instead of the green screen they have behind them, this seems like better.
Well,
setup
I mean the quirky Jim who's like big on masks, having all these little toys. There was something charming about it.
Okay, so let's cut to the chase. Games journalists, for want of a better term, can be way too pally with the game industry side of things. Between the fact that a lot of critics and reporters go on to quit their jobs and become games PR reps, and the industry parties at events like E3, and the general fact that a lot of like-minded people who will naturally get along are bound to become very friendly, there's an air of chumminess between media and developers that I believe can cloud judgment and can lead to a circling of the wagons. Now, unlike some, I do not think there's a really big conspiracy going on. I don't think the people involved are capable of it, and I don't think the people involved could shut up about it if it was happening. However, I do think games media can be very protective of the games industry because it's full of folks they like, people are people, and also because they're often a bit starstruck by talented folks they look up to. I say that because I remember that. I remember the feeling of, oh my god, Ken Levine read my review, oh my god, this guy made a game I like, and now we have banter. I remember that starry-eyed delight before it was all worn down by my increasing bitterness. Now, as I said back when we talked about YouTubers doing paid videos for companies like Microsoft, I don't think it's inherently a problem, provided the readers are fully armed with the details. See, I don't believe simply being friendly with folks is enough to truly affect coverage with most honest critics. I knew a guy who worked hard on the rubbish MMORPG, for example, before tearing it apart, and I was pretty publicly pally with Mikey Newman and used to work with Anthony Birch from Gearbox, and we all know what I think of Colonial Marines, and I don't talk to Mikey no more. But there is always potential for a conflict of interest, and I feel that so long as the audience knows it's there, they can make an informed decision. I said that about YouTubers, and the same applies to more traditional media. But some distance will always be good. I don't do E3 or publish a...
That has got to be one of the most dated references to Chungus.
Yeah, this is 2014. I mean, that's like way before Chungus.
Big.
Dude,
guys, did you just feel that?
The timeline shifted. No.
We're in the timeline where Chungus occurred prematurely now.
We're in the Gamergate Chungus timeline.
Well, we have to do an internet archaeology dig on Chungus now. How deep does this rabbit hole go?
Paid travel or reviewer.
David Rawls' new Chungus chronology.
Events or previews anymore, not since the last big kerfuffle, and I'd love for more critics to do the same because most of that stuff's a racket, and I'd like to see more reform that focuses on disclosure, if only for the sake that being more open and less aloof will help stop a lot of conspiracy theory. With journos sometimes gleefully dropping mysterious and vague sentiments on Twitter like we saw before the PS4 came out, it makes a lot of them look way more connected and in the know than they actually are. There's this air of silly mystery surrounding games media that makes it look conspiratorial and shady when the truth is all of us, be as critic, reporter, YouTuber, whatever, we're all just gamers. Yes, gamers who got fucking lucky and have some talent required to maintain an audience. The us versus them adversarial mentality that's been brewing between journalists and the audience for years, not just recently, has been a bit ludicrous, and I've been part of it before, I'll admit that. It's quick to write off gamers as hysterical sometimes, it's easy to do that sometimes, to focus on Dante having black hair in DMC, and not field more legitimate complaints about frame rate and other things that Devil May Cry fans might have. I'm guilty on that count. Likewise though, there is a lot of hysteria among the community that has a sad tendency to drown out legitimacy. Sonic's legs are too long. So on one side of the fence we have a gaming media that can be overly dismissive of its audience, and an audience with enough people in it being crazy to make that dismissal way too easy. Which brings me to a point that is, no matter how much you may hate it, unavoidable in the current climate. Everything I've said so far is aimed at rational and good folks who genuinely do just want to see a better standard of game reporting. But be aware that the amount of harassment and abuse that circled this debate is absolutely contemptible, and has only served to totally undermine and discredit the notion that this is all about ethics.
So, I'm not really familiar with the total story of Gamergate. I was not an active individual back during that era. That was back during
the harassment that he's referring to is the harassment claimed by Zoe Quinn following the post about her, cheating on her boyfriend with a bunch of game journalist people. But generally speaking, it's pretty much accepted at this point that most of Zoe Quinn's claims of harassment were pretty spurious as far as like real criminal harassment goes. I think it would be disingenuous to say that she didn't receive any harassment. Obviously, there were probably a bunch of people in her DMs calling her a whore and telling her to kill herself or whatever the fuck. But if you're going to be a public figure on the internet, that's something that should be accepted, I think. And I think that's what he was referring to now, because at the time, people, at least on his side of the fence, were taking her claims pretty seriously, and so I think that's what he's referring to here when he's talking about the horrible harassment that's going on with the Gamergate.
Especially when you're like a public figure in the middle of a controversy, like what else is going to happen?
Yeah. Especially when you're out like fucking game journalists to get good review on your shitty game, but that's beside the point.
Even if like only 1 in 20 people are spastic retards who would do that, if hundreds of people hear about your shit, you're gonna have a lot of spastic retards sending you stuff.
When good writers, freelancers who are totally outside the PR spin and hobnobbery of most traditional media are driven out of the industry, we all fucking lose. Jen Frank, who willingly disclosed her potential biases. Matty Bryce, who was never afraid to tell other games media people that they were fucking bullshit. Driving unique voices out of this industry is the opposite of what gamers ought to be doing, and the fact that so many of them have been women is not a good fucking sign at all. And if you're part of the Gamergate movement and you genuinely care about ethics and inclusivity and other decent issues, you should be...
Note how he packages ethics and inclusivity with each other.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You can see the skeletons of the division forming. It's interesting.
Well, I keep saying it all starts here. It all fucking starts here.
I'm putting
well,
that...
no, because there was that one video about sexism all the way in 2011.
I'm putting that on the next iceberg somewhere. Gamergate's the center of modern history.
It's not really a conspiracy theory, it's just true.
Gamergate happens all the time.
Gamergate
happens. How does that one 9/11 one go? Gamergate happens every day? I don't know.
Every year. The conspiracy
It started as 9/11 happens every year, which was a joke about 9/11 literally happening every year. But then on subsequent icebergs, it got put further as 9/11 happens every day.
My favorite one is that...
Which is actually also true, because 9/11 does happen every day.
Yeah, it does.
Twice,
yeah.
The venom that's co-opting your cause rather than cling to a not all gamers argument. I realise this video inadequately discusses all the hundreds of things going on with Gamergate. There's more I want to say, but I get 10 minutes every Monday and I'm doing my best to focus on what I think actually matters in all of this. I leave you with what I posted on NeoGAF this past week in a thread asking what results we might like to see coming off the back of this more than 3-week-long fucking disaster. I am hoping that a lot of poisoned blood is being let out with much of the anger and outrage.
The good old days when people were exhausted about Gamergate being 3 weeks long. Oh, how they knew. Oh, no. They had no idea.
Buckle up, buckaroo. It ain't ending there.
Going back and forth between parts.
I mean, Bosun would argue it's still going on.
I don't know if I'd make that claim. That's a bit spurious, but in a way, I suppose. Spiritually, maybe.
I'm gonna say, its ghost looms over everything.
I'd also love harassment to stop. People need to just stop with that. We can disagree and have a discussion, or we can fling shit at the walls. One leads to resolution, or at least a stimulating debate. One just smells of poo. A lot of the reason I've been hesitant to touch any of these issues lately is because I don't want something I say to lead to the harm of others. I've often seen things I agree with on Twitter over the years, and I don't retweet them anymore because it sometimes leads to further harassment of the people saying the stuff, and that just sucks. It sucks bad. And I won't say it's a purely gamer issue. It's an issue with the internet and its often dehumanizing effects, and I wish we could all remember that everyone's human.
I find this very ironic given like the other video we just watched we've made recently about like cancel culture not being real and whatnot. Like people going after Scott Cawthorn and harassing him apparently isn't real because he disagrees with him, so that doesn't count. It's just very ironic in retrospect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And going hand in hand with that, I'd like games media to be more open to criticism and open in general. Peel back some of the unnecessary mystery that makes the business look more sexy and conspiratorial than it actually is. The trouble is, we've got this awful feedback loop going on now. Harassment doesn't deserve an intellectual engagement, but some people get so frustrated by dismissal, they get nasty, and the nastiness only leads to further dismissal, and then we end up in this circular chicken-egg situation. More disclosure is important. I'm not against friendships within the industry. It's natural. I have them. I don't hide them. I actually just consulted with The Escapist on a new overhaul to its ethics policy, and it discusses some of this. I think they're going to go about things the right way. Games bloggers, writers, whatevers should be open with their audience, and that can be tough because of the aforementioned nastiness, but it can be done. I try to do it myself, and I've managed to do it with minimal hair tearing. Overall, what I really want, what I've always wanted. Reason, rationality, and believable expectations. There shouldn't be an us versus them. We could all make these discussions so valuable if we tried. You cannot be 100% objective, but you can be honest and open. You can't be 100% okay with everything you read online, but you can express your not okayness without trying to ruin a life. And we can't be 100% perfect, but we cannot be dickheads.
There you have it.
Late game. Okay, we can be done watching fucking Jimqusition now. It's been 2 hours.
If you do make a video out of this, you should take clips from this and like intersperse them with his other videos.
I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, but it like shows his hypocrisy because it's like he's like.
You don't understand, Todd Howard. Synaticus doesn't edit videos. He censors out swear words and then uploads the full raw video file.
No. You can't do that. Nobody's gonna watch 2 hours of Jim Sterling being shat on.
Well, Bosun did offer to be my editor, yet he doesn't seem too interested in actually doing it, so...
Want me to edit this one? I can edit this one if you want me to.
Sure. You can edit this one.
He's just gonna edit more like references to you being Jewish.
Oh, you know it, baby.
I knew it! I knew it! He's going to make like a fucking, what's it called? A Ransona of you. And it's still looking at you with a long nose.
It's just gonna be the merchant.
It's just gonna be the merchant.
And...